Welcome to Black Writer Therapy, a podcast where Black women writers are invited to sit on the proverbial couch, have a cup of tea, and share the stories behind the stories, and what it really takes to write books about Black women in an industry that still prefers white as the default. I'm your host, published author and unlicensed therapist, Ella Shawn. Black Writer Therapy is now in session.
Suzette Riddick is a wife, mother, and nurse practitioner who enjoys writing about imperfect people finding perfect love. She is an Amazon best-selling author and featured in USA Today Happy Ever After. A native of Philadelphia, PA, Suzette loves to travel, read, and she's addicted to Chanel perfume. And now here's your host and unlicensed therapist, Ella Shawn.
Hi, thank you so much, Miss Suzette Riddick, for agreeing to be a guest here on the Black Writer Therapy podcast and sit in my proverbial therapy couch.
You are welcome. I am so excited to be here, Ella, and thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I've been getting that a lot, and I've just been like, no, really, you guys are providing me this great opportunity. I'm shocked every time someone says yes. I'm really just like, okay, yay me.
Hey, yay, both of us.
Yes, indeed. So I start every episode off by asking my guest a question that I don't think is asked quite enough. So, Suzette, how are you healing today?
I am doing well. I started therapy actually during the time of COVID. I'm a nurse practitioner,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
yeah, I'm a nurse
yes.
practitioner. At the time, I also was strictly working with sickle cell patients, and I've been working with them over 32 years. And when I first started, patients were living as long as they're living now. So it really, I don't know, it's just something that happened with George Floyd's murder that I don't know, was just like the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. Like, and I hadn't
Yeah.
realized that, all those years of taking care of those patients, it was like trauma upon trauma. So I started
Mhm.
therapy, I started journaling. I need to find a new therapist, but I have continued with my um, journaling, like getting my feelings down. So I'm healing. I'm on a good path. I'm on a good path.
Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for like just being of service, being willing to serve. I
Oh,
think as a former teacher, most of us don't recognize the vicarious traumas we
mhm.
we carry.
Yes.
Um, so it was just like when you said that, I was like, whoa, that kind of hit
Hmm.
right here because it was, yeah, I taught for 14 years and you don't recognize that you are internalizing
You really don't.
all of
Yes.
that.
All of that. All of that. And I feel like those of us who are in service and helping professions, like we're always so conditioned like to help other people, but we never get the help that we need. And
Right.
it's a really disservice.
Right. And you've been at it for 32 years.
Yes.
You are to be commended. Like really being the nurse practitioner, I can't imagine. And then the intersectionality of all of that. So not only are you a nurse practitioner, you are a woman and you are a Black woman.
And taking care of Black patients that look like
Uh,
me. And
be-
just,
oh,
even that is traumatizing, like trying to advocate for sickle cell patients on a daily basis. And I'm coming up against other people, other providers who don't look like me, but they're in this profession to take care of patients. And there's a lot of, judgment and, stigma attached to sickle cell patients because they're Black and they require opioids to manage their pain. And it's just, It's exhausting.
Well, you know what? I'm dealing with a chronic illness
Hmm.
that brings chronic pain, chronic fatigue, and then it affects every system in the body. And
Hmm.
having to prove to
Yes.
providers that I am not mentally unstable,
Yep.
that I am not a drug addict,
Yep.
that I am not trying to get a check. I want to feel better, just
Yes.
want to feel better. It was like pulling teeth.
I know. I know. I know.
And so to have someone like you there to advocate for your patients, seriously, kudos and thank you for being there for them, because it's ridiculous.
It is. It's ridiculous. And most people, they don't understand it until they walk in the patient's shoes or they have a family member,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So you are from Philadelphia
yes.
originally.
Born and raised, still here. Yes.
Okay, cool beans. Yeah, me too. South Carolina, Columbia, born and raised, still here. So we have you in Philadelphia, and does that play a huge role in your writing?
It does. It does. All of my books and characters are from the Philadelphia area and surrounding suburbs. So yeah, I love writing about home because it's familiar to me.
Mhm.
And I love when a reader reach out to me and say, "Oh yeah, I know where that is. What you talked about in the book." Because I actually use
I
real,
love that too.
yeah. I use real places in the book. So you never
Yeah,
know. Someone reading your book, they may want to visit some of the places. So I don't use it's very rare that I'll use a fictional location, but for the most part, I use, you know, real places in Philly.
I love that. I do that too. I actually go through and map out, like if they're going to be leaving from one place and going to like on a trip, I'm like mapping it out so that I can make sure I have the right directions and the
Yes,
roads and
gotta
all
do
that
that
stuff.
research, yes.
Yes, yes. And
Absolutely.
so I love that you write about Philly and you write about Philadelphians, Black Philadelphians, in
Yeah,
such a way that I don't know that we see them often portrayed.
right.
And so, why is
Yes.
that so important to you? Look, I'm not politically correct. I promise you, there's no PC person in my life. So
Okay.
if I say something rude, it,
Oh, good. Well, we're vibing then because
okay, yeah, this
yeah,
is not that kind of show. Say what you want, do what you want. It's really okay. I just want to talk to Black women who write.
yes. Okay, great. Because I feel like at 56, like I'm just getting too old. I'm tired to censor my words. Like,
That's what happened to me. Look, and I'm not 56, and when I get 56, I hope I look like you.
thank you.
Good grief. Okay. So yes, go ahead and say what you want. So you write about Black Philadelphians in a way that they are not often portrayed in the media and all this stuff because Black
Yeah.
people are portrayed.
And that's what was so important for me, Ella, like when I started writing, is I wanted to portray Black people with, how I grew up. Like I didn't grow up, you know, rich. My dad worked, my mom stayed at home. Um, Money, of course, was always tight, but my dad was a good provider. Um, and I just wanted people to reflect my life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
even though both of my parents, they're not college educated. Um, I was the first sibling like to go to college and, get a degree. Like I wanted people to look like me, to have the same experience, that I have. And just to show that we can love each other. Like Black men do stay, support their families and, have marriages. And, until my mom passed away, my parents were, together for 55 years. So to me, it's not foreign to me to come from a stable, home. Of course, we had our issues and our trials and, real life, stuff. But um, yeah, like that's not foreign to me. And I wanted to show that in my books because I think a lot of times people do think that it's foreign. Like I'm not saying that those other stories in the Black community that they don't happen, but that's not all that happens.
Thank you. Thank you. I talk about that so much, and I'm like, I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but I am going to talk about it until it your kind of writing and the writing that I try to amplify, that becomes the norm. That showing Black people just living
Yes.
becomes the norm instead of, yes, I get it. There's abject poverty in every community. Yes, there, there are criminal elements in every
Yes.
community. I get it. However, there is this huge swath of Black America that's just going to work, raising kids, going on vacation, starting businesses, you
Yes.
know, sitting at home in fluffy PJs and fluffy socks, eating popcorn, looking at Netflix. There are just people who are out here living. Everything about Black life isn't so sensational.
Exactly.
Thank you for showing us in the light that we truly shine in, and not in some manufactured space that the media deigns to relegate Black American culture to. Because, okay, I said I was going to talk about it, but
Oh, well, that's all right. We won't talk about it.
I can't help it. It's my soapbox. It is
Yeah,
my soapbox.
yeah. And we have to talk about it because people need to know that that is not everyone's narrative, you know?
Right. That we are multifaceted people like everybody else. Your most cathartic book to date. And thank you. You wrote so beautifully about it. Share it with the listening audience.
I would honestly, I would say my most current release. Um, because Sammy is the last daughter in the series who get her book in Finally Yours. And if you read the series, going back to my night series with the last book, Seductive Nights, you're introduced to the three sisters in
Sorry,
the
my ring light trying to show
yes.
there.
Yes, that's Finally Yours. You're introduced to her in the night series, Seductive Nights. That's the first sister story, Alex's story. And you kind of see her go through this metamorphosis through each book. And she comes off as like a harsh, unfeeling person. But when you peel back the layers, and in her book, you see where she gets into therapy. And I thought that was really important to show
Mm-hmm.
because she went through a lot of trauma with losing her mother at a very young age and put into a position of feeling like she had to raise her sisters, helping her dad when she was a child herself.
Mm-hmm.
So it for me that her journey and following up, with her book, you just get to see like everything that she had to go to get her to the point where she was, and how she had other traumas in her life that people didn't even know about, like those closest to her didn't even know about.
Yes.
So
The big secret.
the big secret, yes, and you kind of understand why she is, who she is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And honestly, I've not read the two books in the series.
okay.
But of course, when I tell you my TBR from this season alone is ridiculous.
Yes, I can
Okay.
imagine.
Okay. So I want to go back and read it, but you did such a great job with this third book. I don't feel like when I read it, I didn't feel like I was missing
Oh, great. Okay.
anything. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I have no idea how you do that. Like I see writers do it, and I'm like, I have a 4-book series, and it's like if you don't read book one, book 4 is going to make absolutely no sense. So Finally Yours is your most cathartic book. And you said that the heroine, since childhood, suffered from trauma. The readers are introduced to it in the first books. We talked about that. And then you said that Black women, we are often made to believe that we have to be strong and endure pain, even from an early age. And I get that sense here, right? But I'm also a Black woman, and I know that that's the expectation. So how is it healing for you to write this book and to kind of blow that whole assumption to hell and back?
I just feel like as Black women, like it's expected of us to carry everything on our shoulders. It's expected for us to be, strong and not show emotion and not show feelings, and I have to take care of everyone else. And with Sammy, the big thing with her is she had to learn, like, it's okay to let go. Like, it's okay not to take care of everyone else and to take care of yourself, to do that self-care, because unfortunately I just feel like our society has conditioned us to be the caretakers
Yeah.
of everyone, and not to take care of ourselves. So I'm hoping that message, readers get that message from Sammy's
Yeah.
like
Did you get that message from Sammy while writing her? Were you identifying at all with her?
I did, and I feel like maybe I was able to put so much into it because like I said, when I started therapy, that was like one of the things that was kind of like my breaking point. Like, I was so used to, you know, being the caregiver, taking care of everything and everyone, and like, family members coming to me with their problems and their issues and things like that.
Yes.
So I had actually started the journey of self-care and taking care of myself. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know I sometimes I read some of the things, some of the, I call them rituals because it just helps me to kind of put them in place whenever, daily or whatever. And so when I'm reading books and I see, oh, and this is my self-care management right here, and it's a list of da 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 da, and it seems realistic, I'm like, oh, let me Google these things. And because if they sound interesting and they vibe with me, then I'm like, oh, wait, I may want to incorporate a little bit of this.
Yes.
And that's why I love that you do that, that you allow Sammy to love herself, to come to love, I guess, herself.
Yeah, and to understand it's okay to ask for help. Like, that's another thing. Like, we don't ask for
Oh
help.
God, we
You
don't.
know, we don't ask for help. So
That was the hardest thing I had to learn.
yeah, it is.
Like this whole book, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna stop talking in a minute because I just want to hear you talk about some things. But I'm gonna tell you, this whole book resonated with my entire life, from childhood to right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, and that's why I'm saying, Miss Suzette Riddick, you're definitely doing it right. I promise you. You are doing it. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, whoa, did this woman eavesdrop on my life? But yeah, it resonated so deeply with me. You said that she has to be able to accept that she deserves happiness.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, without giving too much of it away, because the secret that the family doesn't know about. I'm hoping that I show like how she internalized that, because of the decision that she made. She felt like she didn't deserve love.
Mm-hmm. Because the choices that she made that
Because of the
were to
treatment
her
that
benefit,
yes,
but did carry, you know,
yes,
a certain amount of internalized pain.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I think that that's definitely going to be a healing point for some of the readers who read this book who may have had to make that same,
Exactly.
like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that because, yeah, look,
Mhm.
we have said absolutely nothing, but we know what we're saying.
Yes.
And get the book, read the book, and then go back and listen to this podcast episode. And then you'll be like, oh, yeah, that.
Yes, because I
You
don't
can
want to
feel it all in.
give it away. I
Um,
want to give it away.
because you can't, I didn't even realize I'm so serious. Like I knew that it was like, because it was alluded to that she had some trauma in her childhood. And I thought, oh, that trauma is probably what's
Mhm.
causing this kind of aloofness and yada yada
Yes.
yada. So when the secret came out in the book, I was like, wait a minute now. Get
Mhm.
your thing, because I had no idea, and I was as unprepared to hear it as was Dexter.
Yeah. Oh
So
boy. Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
so we are well into segment 1, intentional writing that heals. It's become my favorite word, intentions, because we always talk about setting intentions or,
Yeah, I
moving
have that little thing
intentionally.
in my planner that has intentions for the month, and I'm like, okay, but wow, isn't that something?
And so, yes, the only definition I know now for the word intentions, intentionality, intentional,
Hmm.
is the healing definition, or right, the medical one, the healing process of a wound. And that's what I celebrate here. How Black women writers heal. They have become a part of the process of healing wounds for themselves and their readers. I
Yes,
absolutely like, boom, that's what we do. We're healers,
yes,
all of us.
yes.
So we're deep
Wonderful.
into the healing process, right? The healing process that writing has gotten us into. And I wanted to talk about in your book, Finally Yours, there are 3 sisters, Sammy, Alex, and Joey.
Yes,
Now, these are all their nicknames, yes?
yes.
Did you realize they were all masculine, or
I
they
did,
could
and
be masculine?
that's intentional. I did that.
Obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did that because the father never had daughters. I'm sorry, never had sons. So it was just kind of something that the mother and the father, did with picking their names.
That I was looking at it, I was like, Samantha, Alex is Alexandria,
Yes,
and Joey,
Josephine.
Josephine,
Mhm.
Josephine. Okay. And I was like, she could have been Alexa, right? And so
Yes,
I'm just going through and saying that she could have been Maddie, you
yes,
know, could have been Josie, but
yes.
no, all of them are masculine
Mhm.
names. And I thought that was so interesting. And then hearing you say that the mother and father did that because they didn't have sons, how does that read for the girls? And did they know that they have these masculine nicknames because their father wanted boys?
Well, no, it actually, you learn in, let's see, who book do we learn it in? The mother and father's journey actually started with them dating, and the mother becomes pregnant. The first baby is actually a boy, but he's born stillborn.
Oh,
So the couple, they have to make a decision. Are they going to stay together and love each other, or now that they have the stillborn child, are they like, okay, well, we got married, because we were young, we got pregnant, but they made the decision to stay together, and they really, grew to love each other until the mother passed away. So moving forward, it was kind of like that hope that the baby would be a boy child, and each time it's a girl, so they gave them, the boy nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they do learn about, because they always were under the assumption that Sammy was actually the oldest, and she really isn't. The stillborn child was the oldest. That was the boy. So they don't learn that until they're actually like adult women. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very good. You tackle some serious topics here
Mhm.
in this book. And I always wonder like why you're so drawn to showing the difficulty, but of course the triumph, but we're drawn to telling the hard stories. I find so, and some people don't think this is a difficult situation, but I know for certain that it is. Sibling relationships, rivalry, discord, however you want to, say it, that dynamic, and especially between three sisters, like this is like war.
Yes.
And I am not I'm not exaggerating. I am in the trenches. I've been in the trenches. I'm telling you, you did it justice because you had every personality right. I promise. Oldest sister, middle sister, baby sister. And it's something about the placement of the child that fits the personality.
Hmm.
And look,
Yeah.
I was reading, go back and forth. Oh, I'm so tired of you doing this, da, da, da. And I'm like, this is my life.
Yes.
I
Mine too.
swear to Bob, this woman has written my life. So, are you one of three sisters?
I am.
Ah,
I'm actually one of four, and I'm the baby of the bunch. So it's so funny because it was so easy for me to write, because like those three are definitely my sisters.
um, and so what's the underlying contention with the sister? Does it fall on Sammy completely, or is it kind of a codependent situation?
I think it's kind of both, because with the other two sisters being, so Sammy was only 12 when her mother died.
Mm-hmm.
So of course the other two were younger. And initially, yes, I feel like the sisters were codependent, but as they, grew older and into their own womanhood, and the one is actually a mother, um, they kind of outgrew that, dependency on Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
But, Sammy, she just didn't want to let go. Like she,
Yes.
always wanted to be like, I'm the one in charge and want to tell you what to do, what not to do. And, you know, even at 56, like I still get that from my sisters. Like, like, well, you're the baby, you don't know any better. And, this is what you should do. And I'm just like, wait a minute, I'm a whole grown woman with a husband, children, a career.
Or two, look, two careers.
Yes, two careers. So yeah, so it was pretty, easy for me to, to write that, that dynamic. And I'm glad it came off as authentic, because I
Oh,
really drew from personal experience.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, you must have had like a periscope through the veil into this whole situation. I saw that dynamic in play, and it was eerie and weird because I was like, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone.
Wow, that's something.
Oh, it's weird. I have never
That is
had that
weird.
happen to this degree
Wow.
before. So letting go the need of control, you said Sammy had a big problem with that. And so how do you see that playing out? Not so much in like in your family and things like that, but if there are Black women out there who feel like I'm just gonna hold on to all of it, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, I'm just gonna keep it here, say to them, right? As you would be talking to Sammy, or how does Sammy's plight help them understand that there's a different road to take?
I would, um, and again, I'm drawing on my experience of working with, adult patients. Um, I feel like, and I'm pretty sure you can attest to that. And to this in our community, it's so taboo for us to talk to people. Like, don't tell people your business. Like, just keep this family business right here. We don't need to be talking to, other people outside of the family. And I think that has served us as a disservice. And I think it's like ingrained in us to hold on, because I think we've been conditioned to hold everything in and not to seek help. And even now, when I'm dealing with my patients, my practice has expanded. I work with, in addition to sickle cell patients, also working with patients with blood disorders.
Mm,
Um, so like I come across a lot of patients that look like us. And believe it or not, half of the visit is they come in. And I don't know, I always say I must have therapists written across my forehead, because I'm like, I'm supposed to be talking to you about your iron deficiency anemia, but they just come in and they just literally unload and just like tell me everything that's going on in their lives, and their psychosocial issues and their relationship issues. And I'm like, okay, but we got to get back to your hemoglobin
do
being
what we supposed to be doing, but you
alive.
are healer,
But
healer.
I can't like I can't like bypass that when they come to me. So, like I talk to them, and I always say, I, I think therapy would be good for you. Talk to your primary care physician about getting into therapy. And I even share with patients, especially, patients that look like us, because that is such a taboo for us to see a therapist. And I let them know, like,
Mm-hmm.
listen, even I've gone to like therapists, like, to deal with issues. Like, it's okay, like, to do that. And of course, I do, I tell patients, like, you can check with your insurance, you can request, African American therapist, you can request a female therapist, you can request, um,
Yeah.
and I always recommend that, because I honestly, I feel like, just in general, we do better when we have people that look like us taking care of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We do.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That is the truth. And I love that you take the time to see the whole patient, um, and meet them where they are.
Mhm.
And I think that you hit a really important point when you said Black people as a whole, we are very close to our chest.
Mhm.
Downtown, my grandmother used to say, "You don't wear no dirty drawers outside of your clothes, do you?" No, grandma, I would
Right,
not. Then don't go toting information about what's going on in your house
right,
all over the place. And you
right.
just grow up hearing that. And then
Mhm.
when things are going on in your house that are to your detriment, you
Mhm.
don't you feel like I can't go talk about it.
Mhm.
I can't share this with someone who could maybe help me get some perspective. And
Right.
so a lot of us are just kind of stuck in there.
Yes.
Um, and there is a slight, I don't want to say slight, but there's some alcohol abuse. I don't want to call it alcoholism, because I don't know that it's an addiction so much as a crutch.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I love that you do that, because not all alcohol, not all like, oh, I overindulge in alcohol. That doesn't necessarily mean you have the disease of alcoholism.
Yes.
So is
Yeah.
that important to you to kind of have that differentiation, or is it that I just made that distinction in my own head?
I think it's important because, the one thing, Ella, I love doing is I enjoy writing characters that are not perfect. And you know, I'll tell my own story. So we went through a few years back. We went through this whole big upheaval where I was running the center where sickle cell patients could go and get treated to bypass going into the ER. And we had these new people that came into the institution and they closed it down. I had to start, still taking care of the sickle cell patients, but in a different, department. And it just was so much stress.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my coworker, and then just fighting to get the patients what they needed. So it's very stressful. So on Fridays we would go to happy hour, and I had my little Jolly Rancher martini. And so I know we went the following Friday we went to happy hour, and I had to say, you know what, Dad, man, this damn job ain't going to turn me into no drunk now. And it's kind of like you can see how stress, like how stress can actually, it starts off so innocent, but I feel like I had the wherewithal to be like, yo, wait a minute. Like, this is what I need to go into my prayer closet and pray and pull my Bible out and read some scriptures and, do whatever I gotta do, because this going off the happy hour every Friday, like, I'm like, no, I said, Lord, I said, Jesus, this job is not going to turn me
into a drunk. I love that.
So it's like, I really want to show things that like really happen, that can really truly happen.
Yeah, you did.
So
yeah, because people, again, I say this, people who are in these positions where they are constantly taking care of people and they become a part of the institution in which they take care of people. Because at some point, as a teacher, I felt like I was like the desk, right? I was like the desk in the classroom, because people stop seeing you as a human being. They start seeing you as this kind of thing that is the giver, right?
Yes.
And to stop being seen as a whole person, like that is devastating to the spirit, and it does horrible things to the mind. And so yeah, I could see, because red wine used to be my best friend. Like red wine was my best friend. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep.
Red wine and Netflix. And so yeah, I could see poor Sammy giving in to the bottle. That's cool. We have all been there.
Yeah. Yep.
We've been there. So, do you have a special audience that you write for?
I do. I was under the disillusion when I first started that, I want everybody to read my books. I want, young people, old people, Black people, white people. But now I've matured. And my audience definitely, I would say, is the African American woman, probably most likely mid to late 30s, up until I have readers that are like in their 80s. So anywhere between those 4 decades. One of my sorors, her mother, and I'll be like, oh my God. Ugh. Her mother was in the 90s reading my books, and I was like, oh God.
So say hey to your mama.
And she was like, oh, my mother loves your book. I'm just like, okay, thank you. But I was just like, oh, because I have some stuff in my books, but you know, I was happy that, you know, she was able to, you know, escape and enjoy, and maybe it made her feel young again. I don't know. But she said that, you know, before her mother passed, she would read my books.
That's pretty awesome.
So yeah.
That's pretty, a 90-year-old woman finding enjoyment in your books. I'd probably be a little cringy, but also, yeah, you 90-year-old enjoying the romance. And yeah, when you said I was disillusioned, I already knew where you were going to go. Most Black writers start out because we just want to be writers, right? Just want to be writers. But the industry and society, the world will not allow us to be writers. We have to be Black women writers.
Yep. And for me, I think the most crushing thing for me was I started reading romance at the age of 15. So when I started reading romance, nobody looked like me on the covers. They
Okay.
all had corn silk hair with blue eyes and
Yes.
fair skin. But I loved the story. For me, it was the romance of the story. Like, I necessarily didn't see that they were white characters. So, you know, it being naive when I started writing, I'm like, oh, well, if I can enjoy their books, they should be able to enjoy mine. Then, you know, you hear this, well, oh, well, we can't, you know, well, we don't identify with that. Why don't you? Like, I read Danielle Steele, I read Jackie Collins, I read Sidney Shelton. I mean, of course, I read, you know, Terry McMillan and J. California Cooper and, you know, Maya Angelou. You know, I also read the Jerome Dickey. I also read like the Black authors, but I also read white authors. And to me, a good story is a good story.
Exactly.
But when you tell me you can relate to someone shifting into a dragon, but you can't relate to two, you know, they write that dragon.
Yes, I know. I love fantasy. I love a good dragon love story.
But you can relate to that, but you can't relate to two Black people being in love. And I'm just like,
how does that work? Explain that to me.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
And I get you. Because I don't care what I read. If it's a good story and it keeps my attention, even a good dragon shifter story, then I'm going to read it. Because I don't have to be centered in order to appreciate a good story.
Exactly.
And I think that was the lesson that taught me, okay, Chip, you are a Black writer. And you are writing for Black people.
Yes.
Because apparently white folk don't have the intellectual capabilities.
Yes.
And when I say white folks, I mean white folks in publishing don't have the intellectual ability to read a book and enjoy the story and not have to be centered. And of course, caveat, I am not speaking of all white publishing industry personnel, but it's enough of them out there to gatekeep entry.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, I got real clear about my audience in the same way that you did, because I was forced to realize that I am a Black writer and not a writer who is Black.
Yes, cool. It's cool. Oh. I'm so at peace with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I'm so at peace with it. So
yeah, I'm not so much at peace with it yet because I'm early in the game. Like I've only been writing 5 years, seriously writing. There's huge part of me that wants to revolutionize publishing. I want it to be just leveled.
Yes.
I want ours to be norm and not other.
Yes.
I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen through Black women writers. And probably white women will get the credit.
Like everything else. like everything.
That's how that is
That's how
going
that
to, yeah.
works. Yes.
Yes.
Like with
And I
Romance
think
Brothers of America.
I was really considering joining that because I thought I wrote romance for a while, and I realized I don't really care about writing an HEA. I don't care if my characters end up happy or not, because it's not my thing.
Right.
But I looked at them and I was like, wait a minute here. What's going on?
Yeah.
Like spot, 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 spot.
Yeah. And I was a member, and I was a member of the local chapter. Thank God I looked out the local chapter I'm a member of when all that stuff like happened, you know, they disaffiliated. They just were like, we don't want no part of this.
Wow.
Like as things, episodes, kept happening, I was gonna sit back and see what they want to do. Um, but yeah, they disaffiliated, so no longer a part of RWA, and that was one of the reasons why I continued to stay part of the local chapter. Um, I would love to have a local group of writers that look like me, but you know,
I
sometimes.
hear that all the time too. And I'm like I'm in Columbia, and so I'm affiliated with a writing association here.
Mhm.
But usually I show up and it's just me in
Yep,
critique groups and at the activities.
yep,
And not that I don't go and take up enough space for 20 of us, because I really do go take up enough space for 20 of us. I go big or go home. But it would be so amazing to
mhm,
have a group of writer friends that were local that I could meet up with and not have to explain the why
yes,
and the what
yeah,
before I can get the critique.
yeah,
That would be awesome.
yep,
And it's like, yeah, I don't know what to do about that.
yeah,
I think that's another reason I started the podcast. I'm like, I need to at least know that there are Black women writers out there and that we've seen each other. We had a dialogue. So, I could possibly potentially email and say, hey, can you read these pages for me? Because it's not the same when you have someone who isn't.
yes, 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 yep.
Yeah. So I hope you find your tribe in Philly.
I hope so
And
too.
I hope I find a tribe here in Columbia.
Yes.
I think you're going to have a better chance in Philly.
Probably yes.
Now we're going to take a break and pay some bills, and then we'll. In a world where shadows dance and secrets lurk, comes an unforgettable saga of broken souls, written by Ella Shawn. Get ready to embark on a gripping journey through time, a dark Southern coming-of-age saga that spans over 30 years. Nothing is as it seems. With every turn of the page, secrets unravel, revealing a web of intrigue that will leave you breathless. Breaking is the easy part. Having the courage to look into the mirror of your souls, allowing yourself to be consecrated, to rise harmoniously in alignment with self and the universe, that's the hard part. Join John and Vivian on this unforgettable journey where shattered souls rise, courage is tested, and destinies are forged. The Broken Souls series by Ella Shawn, a gripping 4-book masterpiece that will keep you captivated till the very end. Don't miss your chance to experience this compelling tale of love, loss, and redemption. Purchase your copy now and be prepared to have your soul shattered. Because sometimes the darkest paths lead to the brightest light. Be right back. We're back. All right. So we've been talking with Suzette Riddick about her latest novel, Finally Yours. And we've gone over the intentional writing, the healing that can be had and gotten from the book. And now it's time for us to kind of pivot. Are you ready, Miss Riddick?
I'm ready.
But this isn't even the game part yet. It's not time to be like, oh Lord. This second segment it's really talking about what we were sliding into anyway, the audacity of being a Black woman writer in an industry, in a world that really holds very little space, if any,
Right.
for us and for our talent and for our stories.
Yes.
And yet, so many of us are thriving. We are out here doing the thing, either via traditionally being published or self-publishing or establishing our own publishing companies and publishing through them. We are out here making moves.
Yes.
And that takes some audacity. Would you agree?
I agree.
So what made Miss Suzette Riddick so audacious as to think, I can be a published author, I can write romance, I can do this?
So years ago, when I was subscribed to Essence magazine, I read an article about Tyler Perry. And I read how, with his first play, like he put every cent he had into it, and it was a total flop. He said no one came to see it. He lost his apartment. He had to sleep in his car. And he said he just never gave up. He just believed in himself, and he just kept going, kept writing the plays. And, as I'm reading this, because I was a little nervous about, putting the book out into the atmosphere and like, oh God, is anybody going to buy it and read it except for my mama? God rest her soul. But when I read that article, it gave me so much encouragement. I said, I'm a nurse practitioner. If I write this book and it flop and don't nobody like it, don't nobody never buy it, I'm still going to eat. I'm going to be okay.
Okay.
I said, this man really believed in his talent and his storytelling, and he just was so courageous to be able to do this, and then to lose everything and to continue to do it after he lost everything to see where he is now. And I was like, girl, go and put your book out there. And when I published my first book, Special Summer, I had no intention on being an author. I thought I was going to write one book. It was going to be one and done. But then I started getting people, emailing me. I'm like, okay, well, are we going to get the other character story? So honestly, I really became an author on, it wasn't intentional that it really wasn't. Like I said, I thought, I was going to write one book. It was going to be one and done, but it just really took on a life of its own. And, at the time when I started writing, I had a lot of patients that were dying. So I really found writing to be very therapeutic. It was something that, I could do to kind of, again, deal with the trauma that I didn't even realize I was going through.
Yep. That's beautiful. And I am so happy that you said, oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna put it out there. Because now we have you here. Yeah. With how many books under your belt?
Oh, 16, 17? Somewhere around there. Yeah.
How in the world do you find time
I make time. When I first started writing, I actually was a nighttime writer. I would just write on the weekends. I would start writing, and I wasn't even typing. I had books. I would get remember the big 5 subject notebooks? I would buy the big 5 subject notebooks and I would just sit in bed and I would write after my kids went to sleep. So I would say from about 11:30 Friday night, I would write until about 4 or 5 in the morning. I just would write, go to sleep, get up, do what I had, do with the kids, whatever, get my day started. Same thing that Saturday night until 4 or 5 o'clock Sunday morning. And initially that's when I would do all my writing.
Wow.
And on vacations, now I'm a little bit more structured. I write after work. I usually write between like 8:30 to like 10:30 at night. So I always
Mm-hmm.
try to get at least, at least 90 minutes to 2 hours of solid writing in.
Yeah.
On the weekends, I do write a little longer. And if I'm in my zone, like sometimes I'll go past. I have a word goal of 500 words each time I sit down to write. I usually exceed that, but I always set the goal so low. So if, I don't get past, if I make it to the 500, I feel good that I've got some words down.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's such a small, word count. And on the weekends, I'll write for stretches. I'll write maybe like 3 4 hours. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much what I do. That's
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. I remember working, and then I could not have been writing and working.
mhm.
I just I guess I say that now because I don't work anymore from home, and
Mhm.
I'm like full time doing this writing thing and all of this. So yeah, I think if the passion had bit me like it was biting me before I got sick, I would
You
have done it.
have, yes, you would have done it.
I would have made the time.
You would have made the time.
Right. Because yeah, your gift will make room for you. So I
Yes,
think that's definitely
yes.
that's pretty awesome. So when we're talking about audacity, I am obviously not a licensed therapist. I mean, obviously. However, if I were a licensed therapist and I offered only Black women writers their therapy sessions, what would make you want to come sit on my couch about dealing with the publishing industry overall?
The representation of the Black writer and getting us our stories out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that because for me, I feel like that's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
Knowing that you are putting work out there, but you're seen, but you feel like you're not being seen, and it's kind of it's difficult when I've been writing for so many years, and then you see someone that just comes up and because they don't look like you, like they take off in their books and movies now.
Right.
Like, well, what's so different about my story from their story? Like, what was the it thing for them? And, sometimes that's just kind of, if I'm keeping it real,
Yes, please.
that's
Yeah.
kind of the frustration, the frustration that's there. So sometimes it's, you have to process those things up. But thank God I call her my twin, Suzette Harrison.
I love
I
Suzette.
I love her too. We're kind of each other's therapy. We have a call where we just kind of, you know, do what we're doing now, just chatting and
Yeah.
um,
Look, Suzette
counseling each other.
Harrison, and I can see why she recommended you as well.
Oh,
Because yeah, the vibe is very much the same. very much the same. But to your point, I don't know, my feelings are kind of ambivalent. So I hate that we need it. There. I
Yeah.
hate that we need the machine that
Yes.
doesn't want our cog, but we
Yes.
need it. And
Yes.
I hate that. So
Mhm.
are you traditionally or self-published or hybrid?
I'm self-published. In the past, I've had been with a couple small publishing houses. But for me, the self-published is a better fit because I get to tell my story the way I want to tell it. And
Exactly. If you had any advice for aspiring writer, what would it be?
I would say, which I didn't do, I would say learn the business.
Mm,
Learn the business because I, in transparency, I didn't do my research. Um,
mhm.
I kind of learned as I went along, and I feel like if I had taken at least 6 months to a year to really learn the ins and the outs of the business, I would have probably um, not made some of the mistakes I've made, but thank God, I've learned from those mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, to me, nothing is wasted energy. So,
It's either
I
going to,
learned, yeah, I learned from them. So, but that
yeah,
would be, you know, that would be my advice. Learn the business because it is a business, and you know, learn to treat it like one.
yeah. And not just the artistry of it. I think I've had the most trouble in that same vein, like learning the business and commodifying myself and my product.
Yes.
So um I think that's great advice. Like one that I wish somebody would have given me
Me too.
5 years ago. Look, I learned all the other things, but I did freelance editing for 3 years before I published my first book. And so I learned the ins and outs of the editing world, right? I knew all of that stuff. But as far as like, oh, now you're wanting to be an independent writer, what is that?
Right.
Right? What does it mean to be an artist entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Because it's different when it's art, right? It's a
Yes.
different kind of beast. And if you had a message for the publishing industry as a whole, right? Everybody who has a fingertip from, in getting a book from manuscript into a bookstore onto those lists, what what would that message be? Or what is that message?
Whew. I
You
guess
don't
it
have to
would
be
be.
PC.
I guess it would be. Everybody's story is important. Yep. Um, yeah. Everyone's story is important.
You are a nice woman, Miss Riddick. You are a nice woman. And I appreciate that about you. I really do. I really do. Okay. We're going to take a 15-second break and then we'll be back to play Tell the Whole Story. It's a word nerd girl moment. It's time to get my word nerd girl on. You're going to play this game with me.
Oh Lord, here we go. Okay.
It's time to tell the whole story. Not that you didn't just shut the book with that last statement, but it's time to tell the whole story. Here's how it goes. I'm going to give you 5 words. You're going to tell me 5 little anecdotal stories with each word, right? But that sounds weird. So I give you the word, you tell me a little anecdotal story, including that word.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Let's review. Let's do an example.
Okay. If I give you the word student,
Okay.
then I just looked on my wall, which is covered in old book papers. I saw student. So student, then you tell me an anecdotal story with that word in it, like about, it has to be true. But I was a student. Da, 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 da. And then you end
Well,
your
it has to be
anecdotal.
true. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So how
And
we,
you
okay,
enter,
that's true. Okay.
yes. And you end your anecdotal story with either hashtag bookish, hashtag writing while Black, or hashtag writer's life.
Okay. Now, you know, I'm menopausal. Let me find a pen to put them, write them
Oh my
hashtags.
word.
Wait a minute, hashtags bookish. Hashtag writing while Black.
Hashtag writer's life.
Hashtag writer's life. Oh, well, you think I'm laughing? You laughing? I'm serious.
Oh my gosh.
Menopause is,
I'm not far from you, believe me.
it's real. Wait a minute. And I don't see no pens in this desk. Hold on. Can you hold on for 1 second?
Of course I can.
I'm serious. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
This, I'm telling you, this menopause is okay. Hashtags writer's life.
Mhm.
Okay. Hashtag bookish. And what was the other one?
Writing while Black.
Writing while Black. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
You ready, Miss Riddick?
I'm ready.
I don't need a drink. Take a little drink of water, some tea.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Your first word is sacred.
Okay, sacred. Mm. See, now you know, one thing you have to know about me is that I overthink everything. I overthink everything. Um,
This is not a game for overthinkers.
okay, all right. Okay, so sacred. The most sacred time in my life is when I had to say goodbye to my mom.
Hmm.
Hashtag Black while writing.
Writing while Black, but I'm going to give
Writing
that to
while
you.
Black. Writing while Black. Okay.
That's probably one of the most beautiful sentiments I've ever heard. Really. Yes. Sacred time. Wow, that's beautiful. Okay. I am trying not to tear up. That is
I
just
know,
beautiful.
me too. Me too. Me too. I'm trying not to. Yeah.
Okay. You need to write that down somewhere. I'm serious. You need to write that down so you can remember that. The most sacred time I had was saying goodbye to my mom.
Okay, I'm ready to down. Take your advice.
Yes. Yes. God, that's beautiful. Okay. That may be a nonfiction something there. Good on you. Let's move on the other end of the spectrum now. Titillating.
That was kind of heavy.
Yes, Lord. Yes, yes. Let's go to the other area now. Titillating. Let's move on to titillating.
Ooh. Oh God, you're gonna make me be naughty. Wait a minute.
Never. Whatever.
Oh gosh. The most titillating time I had in my life. Oh gosh.
It could be a scene that you wrote. It could be anything titillating.
Oh, okay. You editing this, right?
Who?
You're gonna edit that? No, wait a minute. I'm gonna answer this question again because when you said it could be about the writing, I'm okay. Okay. All right, I got one. I got it. I got it.
Okay.
Okay. Act two. I'll take two. Take two. Okay. Oh, and this is really one because I went outside my comfort zone. Okay. The most I can't even say the word now because
Now
okay.
you're flustered.
No, I'm flustered. The most titillating time was the first scene, intimate scene between Sammy and Dexter. Because it was something I had never written before. Hashtag writing while Black.
Now you know. Look, I remember that scene. If I find it,
You
do
want to
you
read?
know where it is? You read it.
No, I'm not reading it.
You read it. You hadn't read the. I know we found one that we agreed upon, but
No,
I
I ain't
mean,
reading that. What's it starts with
did
a
you write it?
no,
You wrote it.
I wrote it, but no, no, ma'am, I'm not reading that.
Why not? No, I'm hunting for it. Do you know where it is?
I don't know where it is. I know I wrote. Well, I mean, if I tell you, you're gonna know what it is. They were mutually pleasuring each other.
Oh yes, with numbers.
The numbers.
Ah,
And I had never written anything like that. And I felt like I had to do that with Sammy because she was always the prim, proper, you know.
yep.
And I'm like, okay, Sammy really is
You
a
gotta make her lose her mind.
yes.
I gotta find this thing because that was one of my favorite scenes.
So yeah.
Oh my word. Okay, I can't find it, but look, I will find that scene and add it in post production. And I mean, obviously, I'm going to read it, but it's one of my favorite scenes. And I'll just put it in as this is Miss Riddick's most titillating scene to date because it's one of my favorites. So you don't usually write.
I write love scenes. I do write love scenes, but I've never written a couple doing a 69 before.
Oh, well, I'm going to say this to you. Do not pick up any book with my name on it.
Ooh. No, I'm gonna pick them all up now. Wait a minute.
I do write explicitly.
Yeah. I mean, so do I feel like I do within let me see, how can I put this? I feel like I write explicitly. And it's okay if people write because I like reading raunchy. But for me, that's just not, you know what I'm saying? It's just not, I'll read it.
I will read it.
I will read it, but will I write it? I don't know.
I think a lot of people have difficulty doing it, and then I've had people come up to me and say, "Wait, you wrote that?"
I know, because you look like Sammy over there, all prim and proper.
Girl, I'm the bougiest country girl you ever gonna meet. I really am. I'm a bougie country girl. And so they're always like, that doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Imagination. That's all.
That's
Research. Lots and lots of research.
that's it.
Because yeah, but I'm gonna find that scene. Yeah, delve a little deeper into titillation. You did good.
Thank you.
I had no trouble envisioning what was happening with Dexter and Sammy. So
Pretty good.
kudos. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
Your third word is originality.
Um, mm. Can we do one other word and come back to that one?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever done that before. You're the first one I'm skipping a word and coming back to. So
Well, you have not because you asked not.
I know, right? Your fourth word is redeemable.
Oh, I love that word, redeemable. My next series is about
Getting exclusive.
3 women who are going to have redeemable qualities after being villainous in a previous series. Hashtag writing while black, hashtag bookish. Can I do 2 hashtags?
Oh, yes, you can. I love that. Ooh. Okay, wait. I want to ask you. None of their names start with a K?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
This is from my very first series, my Love Conquers All series. And three of
those villains. Okay.
There's
I
villains.
have so much reading to do.
From those stories, and each of them did some pretty. When I tell you my tagline is writing about imperfect people, finding perfect love, my people are, but the series is based on 3 women who have done some pretty shiesty things, and now that they're older and more mature, they've grown. And that's another thing I love about writing. I feel like as humans, we're all capable of change, and we're all capable of doing better. And what I might have done at 34, I didn't do at 44 or 54. Like, I grew.
Right.
So, and that's another one of my common threads in my books is like redeeming people. Like, I just really feel like almost anyone is redeemable.
That I chose that word just for you. Because I got that sense. I got that sense, like with Dexter, and like with the father, he messed up, but now that he, the girls are still like all daddy's girls, yes. and like it's this idea that with enough support and enough like wherewithal from the person who seeks redemption, it can happen. And mostly it's probably through self-forgiveness and learning to love self first.
Yes.
I love that. Okay. Where am I? Okay. I want to go back to the word we skipped before I do my last word.
Okay.
Originality.
Sometimes in life, I'm not sure if originality actually exists, or do we reinvent the wheel with our own spin and perfecting it to meet our needs?
Oh, Miss Ma'am, that was worth the wait.
Writer's life.
That was worth the wait. I give that a 10. I'm not sure if originality exists or if we reinvent the wheel and perfect it to meet our needs. Well, you're just throwing out little gems there.
Yeah, because I think
I
that's why I
love
had such a hard time with that word. Like, really, what
that.
have I done that was really original? And I don't think I've done anything that, had originality, but I've certainly have taken things and perfected it to meet or suit my needs.
So the word originality itself is almost a non-starter, right? If you think about it, originality doesn't necessarily exist.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm going on a word nerd girl moment. We're going to nip that in the bud. I'll just go back to it in my journal for words and play around with this and the etymology of it. You just, now I'm thinking like that doesn't make sense then that we have that word originality because it doesn't exist.
I don't know.
Why did you do that to me? I'm supposed to be like, I said I was going to record this session because I've been burning both ends of the candle. I'm going to record this session. I'm going to go in. I'm just going to chill. I'll get my 2.5, 3 hours of writing in later on when my brain is 100% on. But now I got to go pull out my word journal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you,
You're
Suzette. Yeah,
welcome.
look at her. You're welcome. All right. Your last word is not so much a word as it is kind of a comparison. Yuck and yum. Tell me something that is a yuck for you and something that is a yum.
Oh, girl. Miss Ella, yuck for me is, have you ever walked on a floor that's sticky and your feet just everywhere you walk, you just hear this little like yucky stick every time
Yes,
you
yes, yes. Just this weekend.
and it just
There.
drives you bananas.
It does. It does. That's a yuck. I didn't even want to walk around. It's class reunion. I look so good. So good. 30-year class reunion. We're at this bar and they have carpet. Why would you put carpet in a bar? So
Yes.
you know, and it's just sticking to my little wedge. And I'm like, not a good look.
Yeah.
That's a yuck.
That's a yuck.
Yeah, that gets the yuck face, definitely. All right, please give me something that's gonna make me smile real wide because I've given the yuck face. So give me something yummy, please.
Okay, something yummy. I'm trying something yummy. It's so many yummy things though. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, and so because I'm there's so many yummy things. Oh, I got one. I got one. I got a yummy, and it's not even a food.
Okay, that's my
Oh,
favorite kind of yums,
okay.
non-food items.
It's not even. It's that. Oh, my favorite yummy is a nice chunky baby when you kiss them like on the neck and they give you all kind of like giggles and I don't know, that's just a yummy for me because I love chunky babies.
That, my friend, is probably one of the best yums I've had today. Really, I love that. A good chunky baby.
A
Because
good
look, I love babies with rolls everywhere,
yes.
everywhere.
And you just kiss
Um,
them like right here on the neck and
yeah,
they just giggle
and
and
they grab your face, and yeah, they're just yeah.
you just feel all
Why
warm.
is that your yum? Why is that your yum?
I love babies. I just do. It's just something we all know that babies are innocent. They're innocent little creatures and they're just so trusting and to me just like a baby smile can just make a bad day a better day. Like
Yeah,
just be like a, just like a happy baby. And
Yeah.
that one of my guilty pleasures actually is scrolling through Instagram and seeing all the little baby posts, and I just, you know,
My mom's like that.
it's just a happy place for me.
Yeah, my mom is like that. I think my mom's a natural nurturer, and she's like a mother. She hasn't met anyone that
Mm,
didn't end up calling her mama.
that's how my mom was. Yep.
I am not like that at all. Okay, I think I'm lying. It's just older kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm easily to nurture, easy, but I'm not that mothering type. I don't think. Like I love babies,
Hmm.
especially when I can give them back.
Yes. Yes.
That's when I love them the most. When I can get the love, get the good feels, and give
Yes.
them back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, mommy. Mhm.
But yes. Okay. You did great.
Yeah, that's
You
my
did.
mom.
You
Thank
did. I think
you.
the time you took to think about everything, it was worth it. Um, Good enough. I asked on the intake form, who would you like to see on my couch? And that is your homework, Miss Riddick. Wouldn't be a great counselor if I didn't give you homework. So
Yes.
your homework is to tell me who my next guest should be.
You want me to tell you right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Victoria Kennedy. Wait a minute. She goes by two names. I know she may be writing under. Wait a minute. Let me find her. But she is very underrated. Her stories are absolutely beautiful. Very underrated author who does not get enough recognition, in my opinion. Victoria Adams Kennedy.
Okay. And what's her genre? Romance or?
Romance. But like you said, it kind of reads like women's fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Really
Yeah.
good. Really good.
Oh,
Independent
very
author.
good.
Yep.
Okay, well, Miss Victoria Adams Kennedy, Suzette Riddick has said you'd be great for a session, so expect an email from me to be on Black Writer Therapy Podcast. I have enjoyed this, and I'm so glad we were able to make it work today.
Me too. Thank you
You
so
are
much.
lovely.
So are you. I've really
Thank you.
enjoyed our time together.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and thank you for joining me for this session of Black Writer Therapy. Be sure to follow and leave a review wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And keep the conversations going on Instagram using our hashtag Black Writer Therapy. I'm your host and unlicensed therapist, Ella Shawn, reminding you to be kindest to yourself first, always and in all ways. See you guys next week. Bye.